Good morning. How are you all today? Thank you for visiting with us. And thank you for viewing these lessons on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for your comments, your likes, and participation in these lessons. Welcome to Bible class with Andre and Betty. We're continuing our studies today from the book of 1 Kings, and we're in chapter 14. And we will be looking at the subject of pretending to be someone else. So 1 Kings chapter 14, verse 1. At that time, Abijah, the son of Jeroboam, fell sick. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Arise, I pray thee, and disguise thyself, pretend to be somebody else, that thou be not known to be the wife of Jeroboam." Now, Jeroboam is the king of the northern 10-tribe kingdom that's divided under Solomon's sons, Rehoboam. And so Jeroboam had been prophesied by Jehu that the house of Jeroboam would fall. And so now he has a son and that's sick. And he tells his wife to pretend to be someone else, that it not be known that you're my wife, and get thee to Shiloh. Behold, there is Ahijah the prophet, which told me that I should be king over this people. And that's found in the 11th chapter of 1 Kings, where Ahijah the prophet told Jeroboam, who was the servant of Solomon, that God was going to divide the kingdom, and that Jeroboam would get 10 tribes, and Judah would get 2 tribes. And so Ahijah is the prophet. Now, one thing about the kings that's important is that a lot of names sound alike. And some of them they changed the names a couple of times, but they're speaking of the same person. And so this is the prophet. And verse 3 says, this is Jeroboam talking to his wife, "And take with thee 10 loaves and cracknels and a jar of honey, and go to the prophet. He shall tell thee what shall become of the child." So he always, when you go to the prophet or the seer, you took a gift for them. Verse 4. And Jeroboam's wife did so, and got up or arose and went to Shiloh, and came to the house of Ahijah. But Ahijah could not see, for his eyes were set by reason of his age. Verse 5. So in other words, he couldn't see who he was talking to, but the Lord intervened. Verse 5. And the Lord said unto Ahijah, "Behold, the wife of Jeroboam cometh to ask a thing of thee for her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus shalt thou say unto her," I'm giving you the words to say, "for it shall be when she cometh in, that she shall pretend or feign herself to be another woman. She shall pretend to be someone else." Verse 6. And it was so, when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet, as she came in at the door, that he said, "Come in, thou wife of Jeroboam. You're pretending is not worth anything. So come in, you wife of Jeroboam. Why feignest thyself to be another? For I am sent to thee with heavy tidings of bad news." Verse 7. "Go tell Jeroboam, thus saith the Lord God of Israel." Now we find out what thus and thus speaks of. "For as much as I exalted thee from among the people, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to thee, and yet thou hast not been as my servant David, who kept my commandments and who followed me with all his heart to do that only which was right in mine eyes." And this is speaking also of when David repented after being with Bathsheba and killing Uriah. Verse 9. "But you have done evil, Jeroboam, above all that were before thee, for thou hast gone and made thee other gods and molten images to provoke me to anger, and hast cast me behind thy back. Therefore, behold, I will bring evil upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel." That's all males. "And will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as a man taketh," oh, where am I? I'm going to read verse 10 again. "Therefore, behold, I will bring evil upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel, and will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as a man taketh away dung till it be all gone," or from a landmine or dung port. Verse 11. "Him that dieth of Jeroboam in the city shall the dogs eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat, for the Lord hath spoken it." He tells his wife in verse 12, "Arise thou therefore, get thee to thine own house, and when thy feet enter into the city, the child shall die." Verse 13, "And all Israel shall mourn for him and bury him, for he only of Jeroboam shall come to the grave, because in him there is found some good thing toward the Lord God of Israel in the house of Jeroboam." He's a child and he's innocent. And he's the only one of Jeroboam's family that's going to go to the grave. Verse 14. "Moreover, the Lord shall raise him up a king over Israel, who shall cut off the house of Jeroboam that day." But what? Even now. And it's simply saying, "This shall surely be." Verse 15. "For the Lord shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land, which he gave to their fathers, and shall scatter them beyond the river, because they have made their groves provoking the Lord to anger. And he shall give Israel up because of the sins of Jeroboam, who did sin, and who made Israel to sin." And that is the 10 tribe northern kingdom. verse 17. And Jeroboam's wife arose and departed and came to Tirzah. And when she came to the entrance of the city, of the threshold of the door, the child died. 18. And they buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by the hand of his servant Ahijah the prophet. Verse 19, and the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, how he warred and how he reigned, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. And in the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel is secular or extra biblical writings. These are not recorded in the Holy Bible. Verse 20. And the days which Jeroboam reigned were 22 years, and he slept with his fathers, and Nadab his son reigned in his stead. And we won't hear more about Nadab until chapter 15 of 1 Kings. Verse 21. And Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. So now we're in the southern kingdom. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. Remember, Jeroboam reigned 22 years, so he reigned longer than Rehoboam. The city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess. Verse 22. And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sins, which they had committed above all that their fathers had done. For they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill and under every green tree. And there were also Sodomites in the land, and they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. Verse 25, and it came to pass in the 5th year of King Rehoboam that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. Verse 26. And this king took away the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house. He even took away all, and he took away all the shields of gold which Solomon had made, and King Rehoboam made in their stead or replaced them with brazen shields, and committed them unto the hands of the chief of the guard, which kept the door of the king's house. Verse 28. And it was so, when the king went into the house of the Lord, that the guard bare them and brought them back into the guard chamber. That means he took the brazen shields and went with the king into the house of the Lord, and then took them and brought them back to the guard chamber. Verse 29. Now the rest of the acts of Rehoboam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? And the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah will be in 1st and 2nd Chronicles in the Holy Bible. And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days. Verse 31, and Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his father in the city of David. And again, his mother's name was Naamah, and Ammonitis, and Abijam, his son, reigned in his stead. And next time we'll be looking at Jeroboam again, because he reigned 22 years, but Rehoboam reigned only 17 years. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.